Hi everyone, my name is Natalia. Welcome to ChoZan webinar entitled How to Use Live Streaming to Set Up Your Brand for Success in China. Today I will be your moderator, and for any technical questions you just send me a message and I will try to help you. So in order to make sure that everyone can enjoy the best experience, so please don't interrupt our speakers, and in case if you have any questions, please send your questions to my email, which I'm sending now, just right now in a chat group. My email is natalia@elaris.com.hk. And I think that now it's time to start, so let me just start sharing the screen. We are ChoZan team, and we are business school for China. So basically, if you have any questions about the modern Chinese consumers or modern trends basically on Chinese social media, you can always contact us, and we organize master classes, workshops, expert calls, and also we help our clients with market research and also strategy development. And today for this webinar, I have with me my colleagues Stella Zhang and also Beverly Lau. So Stella is a creative Chinese social media marketing expert in our team, and she helps brands effectively communicate with modern Chinese consumers. And her main areas of expertise is actually KOL campaigns, social media advertising, and promotional tools such as live streaming. And today Stella will share with us insights how we can use live streaming for basically sales, and also how we can use live streaming for marketing. And also today we have Beverly. Beverly has over 5 years of experience on content marketing and social media marketing projects. And her area of expertise is actually creative media campaigns and building customer journeys through different Chinese social media. And today Beverly will share with us insights on how to use basically live streaming for entertainment. And because now, before we actually go into detail, I just want to share with you a few data about basically what's happening right now in China, what is live streaming all about, and why actually so many people are talking about it. So basically, Chinese tech giants were implementing live streaming functions for several years already, and last year e-commerce within live streaming market was estimated to worth 433 billion renminbi, and the growth was around 226% year on year. And the COVID-19 outbreak just amplified this trend, and live streaming has shown unprecedented growth. And mainly it was because people were locked at home, and then the only one opportunity for them to communicate with the rest of the world was online. And if we speak about the scale of the live streaming now in China, so we can say that by the end of 2020, it's expected that China will have 522 million live streaming users. So if we speak just in more like detail what it means, so for China, it means that basically 62% of the country's internet users will be live streamers. And live streaming become just a medium that can be blended into numerous kinds of the businesses. So, and here you can basically see that live streaming used for shopping, live streaming used for social, live streaming used for entertainment. And I'm sure that many of you heard how live streaming is actually booming in terms of gaming, and how basically Chinese parents were using live streaming to educate their kids. And also because of all borders were locked, so live streaming also become a very applicable for the travel industries and for travel bloggers as well. And here I just want to show you what's actually live streaming is about right now in China, and how it's changing the industries, because basically live streaming become a new version of the home or TV shopping channels. And according to China's Ministry of Commerce, there were over 10 million e-commerce live streaming sessions in China for the first 6 months of this year, which attract more than 50 billion views. And basically companies now, they just really educate their salesperson how to do live streaming. And here I just want to show you a few videos. For example, this one is just has been recorded in Liaochang city, and then they basically practicing how to do live streaming, how to sell products, what need to say, how to basically engage with viewer watchers like in a better way. Then here, for example, you can also see how live streaming is used in terms of the B2B industry, how basically during the different exhibitions people show each other the products and what's actually happening. This is just a recent video from the 26th of August, which has been recorded in Chuanyuan. And I also wanted to show you that live streaming is not only about the top tier cities and basically industries which is more experiencing the consumption trends. It's also for rural China become very, very popular. So for example, this one, oops, sorry. Let me just back a few slides. Yes, so for example, unfortunately, it's not playing right now. So basically, this video was about how farmers were doing in Maoming competition, who can actually sell more products. And then they were basically selling the products which they were producing by themselves. And this one video was as well that live streaming is also applicable for the food industries, that currently different restaurants and cafes, they also make live streaming of the food which they cooked, and in order to show their basically customers the most special dishes. And then basically, although there are different challenges for people to do live streaming, so I just want to quickly go with you about the main reasons why actually people watch live streaming. So I think that most of you know that then we were locked during the COVID-19 outbreak and no one can actually go out. The main purpose of the live streaming, first of all, was just to relieve stress, to give people some fun, to basically relax. And then 57% of Chinese internet users, they were watching live streaming just to have this like a positive feeling and positive emotions. Then 47% was basically enjoy interacting with a live streamer, and it's very close to the 46% of the people who were liking live streamer. So basically it's sometimes it's about the person who is doing live streaming, sometimes it's about the way how it's actually live stream and some different tools and techniques. Then 41% actually they were watching live streaming because they just want to get more information, and this is my colleague Stella will talk to you about how to use live streaming for marketing. So because it's also a good opportunity to get people more information about the product and also about the company. And then here you also can see that the rest was just to relieve boredom, so kill the time, and then others were just because everyone now is speaking about live streaming, so some people just watch it to stay tuned and just to have some common themes to discuss with the friends. And then others also enjoy viewing basically other people, so it's opportunity to basically socialize, because then it's like live streaming in China, there are different comments, and then you can really enjoy what people texting, make some jokes, make some new trends, so just to understand. And if we speak about the most popular live streaming topics, it basically was all about shopping. So 82% they basically watch live streaming because they want to get, as discussed, the most information of the product and just do the shopping. Then 65% they were doing that to basically watch about the food, and also like the food bloggers, the food companies, different snacks, different products and new things. Then 47% of Chinese internet users were watching live streaming about gaming. So it's just become very, very common. Then different people join in together and then they just play these games. And then 46%, they basically were paying more attention about different beauty show, different skincare products, how to basically apply it, some makeup tutorials and all other things. And also, because today we just covering only the free aspects like sales, marketing, and also entertainment. But here I also want to mention that 29% of Chinese consumers, they were actually watching live streaming, which is devoted to science and education. So it's also become a good channel to get new knowledge. And if we speak about the watch portrait, so it's quite important to understand who is watching and who is just broadcasting it and who is live streamers and who is watchers of them. So here you can see the proportion that most of live streamers, they are basically the generation of 80s, and 90s coming after that, and about the age distribution. And it's very, very close to basically people who are watching it. So if as a brand you are targeting young consumers, so in the age between 21 to basically 40, so it's a good opportunity to communicate and engage with your brands, with your potential customers. And if we speak about the gender distribution, so we can see that live stream watchers, we have quite a bunch of basically male users, but in terms of live streamers, most of them are still female broadcasters. And then if we speak about the proportion of the tier cities and which cities are the most popular, so I think that it's not a secret that first basically cities which were adapting to this trend were first and second tier cities. And here you can see that the top cities for live stream watchers were from Shanghai, Beijing, Guangzhou, Hangzhou, Chongqing, Shenzhen, Chengdu, Suzhou, Tianjin, Wuhan. I'm sure that most of you basically know these cities. And here is a very interesting graph. I'm sure that many of you just looking at that and said like, oh, why is basically the 6-star cities also becoming quite high? So I just want to explain here that this is actually proportioned by the tier cities who is watching live streaming in general. But if we are speaking about e-commerce, so for example, Taobao live stream viewing is most popular with young users under 30, and they are living in tier 1, tier 2 cities, tier 1, tier 2 cities. But if we speak in general about live streaming, so basically the lower tier cities, they are also adopting these trends for gaming, education, and why it's happening, because during the COVID-19 outbreak, many were basically locked in their home cities with their relatives. So basically that's why also the lower tier cities becoming the part of this trend. And also what's more important, that China tech giants see lots of potential in this, and then they also developing new functions for lower tier cities. And if we speak, if we speak about the live stream watch behavior, so it's important to understand when people watch it and how often they do it. So the most basically popular frequency of live streaming watching was 3 to 5 times per week. So and then it's basically following by 1 to 2 times per week. And the rest is basically, you see, either it's extremely high, like 6 or 10 times per week, but I think it's like this person is just watching it the whole basically week, and then yeah, some other, or it's just people who watch it less than 1 time per week, it's just 8%. And if speaking about the most popular time, so here you can also see that most of the people, they watch it after the dinner time, 7 to 9 p.m. China time, or before going to bed, 10 p.m. to 12 a.m. And then it's also, if we speak about weekdays and weekends, so weekends is more preferable by Chinese customers, I guess, because they just have more time and also like enjoying it, because live streaming for Chinese users, internet users, is just a way of getting fun, getting more information, and enjoy this communication process. And here is just the last part if we speak about live streamer watchers behavior. So basically people, if we look at by age group, we can see that before 30, people were more focusing on the live streaming, which is about personal consumption. So it's like beauty products, health products, some male apparel, some basically local life things, just where to go, what to eat, what to do. But after 30, you can see this trend that here is more categories about the family consumption. And it's not a surprise that after 30, so basically here we can see mother and baby products that start popping up. Then it's also like home decoration, home appliances. So all this is important to understand when you just decide where to go and who is your targeted consumers. And here I also want to mention that my colleague Stella will walk you through different platforms, and these basically categories can vary depending on the platforms, because the platform, they also have their targeted audience which is more active on these platforms. And if we speak by gender distribution, so male users are more interested in cars, 3C products, consumer electronics, watches, sport products. If we speak about female users, so they mostly watch live streaming about fashion, about beauty and skincare products, jewelry, mother and baby products. And if we also, it's important to understand that currently then we speak about the trend, everyone is basically starting to be involved in that. But if we speak about the users' preferences, so 80% of Chinese users, they still prefer to watch how KOL doing live streaming. Then it's like 69% think that they really like how Chinese superstars are doing live streaming. And then the rest is like 52% is impressed by basically how merchants doing live streaming, and only 80% of Chinese people really enjoy how local officials are doing live streaming. And speaking about the pros and cons of live streaming, because live streaming can be as a way to basically boost your brand in China, and it also can be a way how you kill your brand in China. That's why it's important to understand what's actually the best practices here. And my colleagues will go in depth about different aspects. But if we speak about the pros and cons, so basically the pros is like that it's the most cost effective marketing approach, because speaking about live streaming, it's new trust, new efficiency, new connectivity, and live streaming become a fully new business opportunities, because through live streaming you can just explain people more about your brand values, also deliver a better sales experience, and also link your online and offline presence together, and making sure that basically Chinese consumers will stay with you longer time, because you also during live streaming have an opportunity to better understand your Chinese consumers. At the same time, from the user perspective, users get a high transparency and credibility. And it's also the opportunity for brands to do some content repurposing in a way then you just can explain more about new products appearing. And if we speak about basically disadvantages of this approach, it's important to understand that during live streaming, basically lots of people watching it, and it's very easy to get to PR crisis, because the hosts need to really carefully think what they're saying about the brand and what's actually the product, because this can be quite sensitive for Chinese consumers. And my colleague Stella will take it right now and will go with you about live streaming, which is equal as sales.
Okay, so firstly, I will introduce how live streaming could drive the sales. We know that this year, live streaming e-commerce is booming in China due to the COVID-19 pandemic. People were stuck at home with little to do but search the internet. And their consumption habits also changed and were accustomed to watching the live streaming or shopping online. According to the research of China Internet Network Information Center, live streaming e-commerce users rose at 265 millions in March, accounting for around 1/3 of the internet users in China. The total scale of China's live streaming e-commerce industry reached more than 400 billion RMBs in 2019, and is expertise to double by the end of 2020. So during the pandemic, more and more industries turned to their live streaming e-commerce. People not only would sell the standard products like the foods and beverages, clothes, 3D products, but also sells their cars, houses, and even the rocket. But not all the live streaming can drive the sales. It needs some tips to meet consumers' needs. So as the mentions, we should understand what are the reasons that push the viewers to purchase the products. According to the NLB research, discounts is the priority, accounting for 63%. It means that the cost effectiveness is an important selling point of the products in the live streaming. So when the live streamer like the KOLs cooperates with the brands, they would get the promise from the merchants that the prices are the lowest on the internet. So that's why the host usually tell the viewers that the product sold in his or her live streaming channels are at the lowest price on the internet in order to attract the audience to buy the product. And the second reason is needs. It means that the potential consumers needs to use this product, so that purchases. So it requires the live streamers to introduce the selling points of the professionals' knowledge directly and properly to dig into the consumer's needs. And the performance of the live streamer is also important. The passionate live streamers could make the viewer buy the products impressively. So when we talk about Li Jiaqi, well-known live streaming beauty product salesman, his famous wording, "Oh my God, buy this," leaves us a deep impressions. So if the live streamers could make their viewers excited and encourage them to purchase the products, and the live streamings could drive the sale more easily. And some consumers also look forward to buying the limited edition products in the live streaming. We know that the precious products can be more valuable, so that is also the important tips for live streaming. And as for the live streaming e-commerce platforms, according to the research conducted by China Consumer Association, we could see that Taobao is the dominant platforms for the users to watch the live streaming. And Douyin and Kuaishou, as the short video sharing platforms, also have a large numbers of the active users, which is the foundations to develop their live streaming e-commerce section. So in this webinar, we will cover most of the platforms in this bar chart and try to understand the characteristics of the different platforms in order to do a better live streaming. So we could say that live streaming is the keys to sales. So I want to take 618 online shopping festival in China, for example. And we could see their outstanding performers on such different platforms. And there is no doubt that Taobao is the biggest winner, since it has most abundant SKU and a large numbers of the daily active users and the supply chain. JD is the second largest e-commerce platforms in China. The numbers of their live streaming increased day by day repeatedly during 618 shopping festival. Yes, and Kuaishou actually is the second winner to drive their sales in the live streaming, followed by Taobao. So people would feel curious about how such a short video platforms could succeed in the live streaming e-commerce. And I will introduce this in these sections, as well as Taobao and JD. And as for Douyin, although it gained popularity among the live streaming users, the GMV from the live streaming is not so outstanding compared with other three platforms. So Douyin is said is more suitable to launch their marketing campaign rather than selling the products. So it would be moved to the next section. Okay, so firstly, let's introduce Taobao. It's the largest live streaming e-commerce platform in China. And Via and Li Jiaqi are absolutely the superstars on Taobao and gather most of the traffic. But as the mentions, it's not easy to cooperate with such top KOLs because their teams are serious about the partners and a little bit expensive to cooperate. So brand live streaming is also a choice for you. It means that the merchants could host the live streaming themselves, needn't pay for the KOLs, and just selling their products from the beginnings to the ends in their whole live streaming. So we could see that some brands live streaming succeeded in their 18 promotions and it becomes mainstream. So if a brand wants to do a live streaming on Taobao, how to do it? We could take Lenko, for example, to introduce the normal process of launching a live streaming. Since its Weibo account has a large numbers of the followers, so Lenko launched their live streaming previews on Weibo to warm out, driving the traffic from the public platforms to their Taobao live streaming channel. As for the live streamer, Lenko's invited its brand ambassadors to recommend their products. He is a well-known young singer with numerous fans. The celebrities can attract many fans to watch the live streaming. And so as the merchants, you can also ask the founder of the brands, like the CEO, to do the live streaming and telling the brand story. It could be useful because the people like to listen to the story, which could help the viewers to understand the brand. Also, it's necessary to get the coupons to the audience and interact with the viewer in real time. So these behaviors can improve their favorability. So JD, as the other famous e-commerce platform in China, what is live streaming different from Taobao? So I want to mention the professional live stream hosts and content. JD is serious about selecting the hosts in order to keep the high qualities of the content. So most of the live streamers are professionals in some industry. So let's look at this host named Daddy Huang finding the fresh food. He is a professor with an 8-year experience in the catering industry and 5-year experience to find the fresh food all around the world. So he does the live streaming to introduce the fresh food and share the relative knowledge to the targeted audience. So let's watch his live streaming video. So we can see that Daddy Huang introduced the fish from the Europe, and then he cooked the fresh food for the viewers. Yeah, so because most of his followers are the parents who are concerned about their product's quality, so they are willing to spend more money to buy the high quality ingredients for their children. So they look forward to acquiring more useful suggestions from such experts. What's more, Daddy Juan hosts the live streaming in their spatial kitchens and having the cookers and his menus, which could show his expertise. Such spatial scenes could catch the eyes, ear, and the taste buds of their viewers. So that's what we can learn from the JD live streaming. Professional live streamers, quality contents, and build an atmosphere. So let's move on Kuaishou. Kuaishou is a short video sharing platforms, sells about 100 billion RMBs in live streaming during the first half of this year. So why Kuaishou's live streamings can succeed to drive the sales, and what was the live streaming differences between the Kuaishous and the traditional e-commerce platforms? And it can be divided into two parts, the internals and external. Kuaishou is a fan community, and the KOLs has a strong connections with their followers. And in their live streaming, the live streamers not only just sell the products, but also communicate with their audience. So that's why the followers would like to trust they are live streamers and buy the products in the live streaming. And the most important feature of Kuaishou is that it would control the exposures of the top KOLs and recommends the more medias and small size creators to the users. And we can see that 30% of the KOLs has 1 to 3 million followers. So it's fair and inclusive to all the live streamer. So for the merchants, you could have more choices to partner with the KOLs. What's more, Kuaishou has the specific viewer purchase and dominate types of merchandise. Most of the viewers are young and live in the city below the tier 3. And most of the products are at low prices, cheaper than 50 yuan, 50 RMB. So for the merchants, if your target audience and products are the same as Kuaishou's, it would be useful platforms to you to drive the sales. And the other part is the strategic partnerships with JD within the with JD in the supply chain. It means that Kuaishou's influencers could sell the product from JD within the Kuaishou apps, and JD is responsible for providing the products, delivery, and after sales services. Kuaishou also provide additional subsidies to the users. These two platforms launched their discounts campaign together in their online shopping festival, and so we could say this is a win-win cooperation. So let's look at the checklist about how live streaming can drive the sales. We could make live streaming strategies according to what your audience really needs, and such as cost-effective products, supporting their favorite celebrity, KOLs, and even CEO. And from the perspectives of live streaming, we could pay attention to every process from doing warm-up activity to the after-sales services to leave a positive impressions on the consumers. So currently, most of the live streaming focus on selling products, but actually selling goods is not the only purpose of the live streaming. And so if the brands want to build their influencers on their targeted audience, why not use live streaming for brand marketing? live streamings can be an effective tool to launch the campaign. So let's talk about how to get the most from the live streaming for marketing. So firstly, Douyin is another short video platform with a large numbers of the active users. Compared with Kuaishou, Douyin tends to centralize the traffic to a couple of key merchants, which means that the attractive marketing campaigns can guarantee more traffic during the short periods of time, and then spread out in Douyin and even the whole internet. This is why we want to talk about that Douyin is a suitable platforms to the brand marketing. So let's look at these campaigns launched by Puma. Pumas pay attention to build a connections with its targeted audience and provide more values to their consumers. And let's look at how Pumas do their live streaming. So we can see that Puma invited lots of fitness coach and teach the viewer how to do their indoor sports. Yes. So we know that amidst the COVID-19, Puma hosts a series of live streaming to provide the fitness courses. The brands invited the fitness coach and KOLs to give the professional fitness solutions and about how to choose your dressing style. Also, in the live streaming, Puma delivered brand values to encourage the females to be confident. And so these strategies can improve the viewers' favorability to the brand. Next one is Red. This is the lifestyle sharing community. It's dominate types of merchandise. Or we could see that we have the cosmetics, skincare, and fashionable clothes. And the numbers of these brands increased repeatedly after Red entered the live streaming markets. So, and also the user from Red would like to share their lifestyle and recommend the useful products in the community. When the brands do the live streaming for marketing, it's better to combine the user-generated contents with KOL's recommendation. So this is the case about the Uniqlo. So we could see that Uniqlo do a lot of campaigns on Red, including inviting the KOLs to do their specific live streamings about their dressing. And then Uniqlo also launched their discussion topics to let their users could share their notes on Red on this community. Next one is Weibo. Weibo is the largest public traffic pool on Chinese internet. It's very effective platforms to do live streaming for marketing if you can utilize its public traffic users. So Deals show us a good example. This year, due to the COVID-19, Chinese people were stuck at home. So it's impossible for Chinese audience to take part in the fashion shows in Europe face-to-face. In order to communicate with Chinese consumer, Deal hosted a live streaming about their fashion show. So it cooperates with the numerous opinions leaders such as the celebrities and the influencers, and these kinds of opinions opinions leader also interact with the deals and in order to promote their live streaming. And also deal pay their advertisements to cover all of the public traffic on Weibo, such as the search bar and the whole search page, etc. So because of the comprehensive strategy, the live streaming got over 12 million views. And so after introduce such platforms for live streaming, let's summarize the features of them. And this is the summaries table. And actually, in my views, as the merchants, if you want to do the live streaming in China, it's necessary to learn about the features of different platforms and choose the suitable one. And this is the, some tips for you to do the live streaming for marketing. Most importantly is how to deliver the brand values and tell the brand story. And try to increase the brand's exposure and then build long-term influences on the consumers. So let's move on the next sections and let's welcome Valerie.
Hello, everyone. So today for my part, I'm going to be talking about entertainment live streaming. So obviously live streaming is not just marketing, not just sales. It can be also done in entertaining ways. So we know revenue is important, sales is important. So we're definitely going to include some of that numbers because we like the sound of cha-ching, cha-ching. So we're definitely going to include those numbers. No worries. Let's just get straight into this part. So as you can see, there are different applications of entertainment live streaming. We're going to be covering some of these examples in the following slides. So entertainment live streaming can take the form of virtual museum visits, clubbing events, sports and fitness classes, and we're going to talk about them in details. So this is actually an interesting example for virtual museum visits. So back in February, around 30 museums, including the National Museum of China, Dunhuang Research Academy, the Nanjing Museum, and Suzhou Museum did live streaming on platforms such as Douyin, Taobao, and Kuaishou. So just on the Taobao live streaming app alone, the virtual museum visits series have accumulated close to 10 million online visits, and which is the number of the Louvre Museum in Paris in 1 year. So the results are pretty impressive. So I mean, obviously, say for an example here that the Potala Palace in Lhasa, Tibet, started their very first live streaming a while ago and attracted 920,000 views, which is over half of its annual visitors numbers. So obviously during the pandemic, lots of businesses had to close their doors. But I think in a lot of ways, live streaming has opened doors for the museums. So I'm going to be covering a lot more in the following slides. So, I mean, obviously live streaming is important now for museums because back in the days, when you had to accommodate, say, visitors, you need certain number of tour guides or commentators. But now with just one live streaming of, it doesn't even matter how many people you have in the live streaming session, right? It can be 100, 1,000, it can be 10,000. So, but all you need is really that 2 to 3 tour guides to accommodate everyone in the live streaming session. So basically operation costs for the museum is just going to be significantly lower. And also it's very interesting that, according to the Palace Museum in Beijing, the previous curator has mentioned before that the Palace Museum in Beijing is currently actually only displaying under 1% of its collection. So the reason that they're doing this is not because they don't have the money or not the resources to display everything they have. It's because they don't have the proper exhibition space to accommodate all these collections. So imagine for live streaming, museums can just easily set aside a place, you know, take everything that's been hidden, you know, that's never before seen by the public, and they can just like easily set it aside and use live streaming to kind of introduce them to the public world. So that's also a very interesting factor for the museum. And in terms of users, it's also definitely like innovative, because, you know, back in the times when you visit museums, you know, it's rude for you to make noises or have a discussion or have a comment in the museum, because you're going to be disturbing others. But with live streaming museum visits, this won't be such a problem anymore, because, you know, you're not disturbing everyone. You can feel free to share your opinions. You can chit chat with other users. So it's a very new and innovative, interactive way of doing museum visits. And also, you know, tour guides can also launch these like live stream polls, so they can ask viewers, hey, where do you want to go next? What do you want to see next? And then, you know, they're just going to show them around. So this is also very interesting. So, you know, in terms of like incorporating sales into this live streaming, it's also going to be much more natural, you know, for tour guides to include links to these like creative merchandises of the museum, so they can just show. So say, for example, this example here, Suzhou Museum, they included 44 links to their creative merchandise during the live stream. And as a result, you know, the sales of the creative merchandise increased 4 times. So moving on to the next example, this one is like a music festival. So just a little bit background information on this event. So basically, Do Live is the branch of Douyin, you know, which is like very active in pushing live streaming entertainment. So recently they launched this Lighthouse event in featuring performance from, you know, various fields, you know, folk songs, EDM, jazz, rock, and to really provide a very trendy and avant-garde performance. So the accumulated views for this performance was over 3 million. You know, just on a side note, Tuberg actually title sponsored this event and partnered with Douyin to push this event back in March 28th and 29th. But then on the 8th of April, it's actually the day when Wuhan reopened after the coronavirus lockdown. So they, Tuberg, you know, as a result, they kind of launched like a series of special promotion posters and also special beer caps featuring Wuhan's signature noodles and architecture. So it's also a very interesting way to kind of show support to the city. I would say generally these entertainment live streaming is very popular, as you can see with these like impressive numbers. So, you know, it has generated 160 million views on related topics on Douyin, you know, from related conversations from celebrities and music experts and music critics. And it's also generated a 140 million cross-platform exposure across platforms such as Weibo and Douban and Hupu. So we're also going to be looking at JD music festivals. So this is, you know, one of the e-commerce giants, JD, in China. So, you know, they have become very active in integrating entertainment and e-commerce with the use of live streaming. So for their big annual 618 live streaming 618 shopping festival, you know, JD invited over 300 celebrities and influencers to you know, from a wide range of age groups to take part in this like 21-day live streaming event. So it was really successful in building this, it was called the consumer and like live streaming concert and sales loop. So the results were generally very impressive. As you can see, you know, just for 618 sales, the sales value was actually 21 times more than last year's Double 11 event. And, you know, the one of the concerts has generated 11.2 million views. also breaking the record for the most viewed online concert done through, delivered through an e-commerce platform. I guess what we're trying to say here is that, previously for live streaming could be done in two groups, entertainment and e-commerce. But right now we're seeing a lot of synergies between these two types of live streaming. So e-commerce platforms are becoming more content-based, while content platforms are becoming more e-commerce based. Basically what I mean by that is that, e-commerce platforms are actively producing a lot more valuable content to kind of support and promote their sales. And then for e-commerce platforms, and then for content platforms, they're coming up with their like in-app payment systems, so they can really monetize that traffic and really to capture that revenue and capture that sales. So we're going to be looking at some successful and failure case studies. So I think when we're talking about success and failure, it's also important to take into account, what kind of outcomes you're expecting or hoping to get from your actions. So in the following parts, we will show case studies with the focus of different performance metrics. So you see successful campaigns that may not have the highest GMV, and also failed campaigns that, have decent views and impressions. So this one is very interesting case study. All the numbers may not be very impressive, as compared to other e-commerce events. But then I think one of the biggest takeaway for this is that, a lot of these products being sold are under 100 RMB. So, if you're looking at the sales value, yeah, sure. I mean, it's not that crazy, crazily impressive as compared to other e-commerce platforms. But then, in terms of the sales volume, in just 4 days, they sold 809,000 products. And I think it's just kind of going to show you that, Douyu is actually a very, it can still be a very powerful platform, despite not getting as much hype or mention as compared to other platforms. So I think one of the interesting I want to include here is that, basically there's like a urban myth in the consumer markets, the likeliness to spend money is going to be women greater than children, greater than elderly, greater than pets, greater than men. So, previously lots of brands have been underworking their marketing strategies towards the male consumers, and live streaming e-commerce platforms have been mindfully omitting these like male targeted products. So I think one of the important value this campaign is really delivering is that, it's like a myth buster. Do men really don't like spending money? But, I think the sneakerheads and like tech gadget enthusiasts would disagree us on here. So really it's like recognizing the value of marketing to male consumers. You should go after platforms that have a matching user persona as like your target audience. So, as long as you utilize them right, it can still be a very powerful channel. So, our time is kind of running short, so I'm just going to jump straight into this McDonald's campaign, as I think this one is quite an interesting one. This one is quite an interesting one. It's a 24-hour live streaming event done on Bilibili, and it has received lots and lots of criticisms. Basically, the first point being, there's too much repetition in this like cute animation clip of like chickens running around. Basically, this campaign was about their new product launch. Like they're launching this new fried chicken. So it has received lots of criticisms. I'm just quoting a few here. Basically, the hosts were unprofessional. So when they were trying to ask interviewees what they think about, the new product, how the new fried chicken tastes like, the whole conversation felt very cringeworthy. It feel, if there were silences, it felt very awkward. So basically, it's just a very off chemistry presented on the camera. And also, I think one of the major disasters associated with this campaign is that there's not a very, obviously when they're advertising this campaign, it's like this biggest, the most generous giveaway, because they're giving out 1 million RMB in value of cash coupons. So, obviously people are watching these live streams because they want these cash coupons. But then they didn't make it very clear. So, you know, the live streaming was done on Bilibili, and then the actual giveaway was actually on WeChat, and then the host didn't mention anything during the live streaming. So people were just like constantly saying, you know, when do you give out this cash coupons? You know, where can we get it? And, you know, I think the host just failed to capture this. So basically what they did was just like a very robotic response. So their host was just like saying, oh, stay tuned for our chat, stay tuned to our channel, you know, comment down below if you have any questions. So it just kind of felt like, you know, the hosts were kind of like living in like a parallel universe, basically, with all these users saying, hey, we want the coupons, and then they never respond to it. So I think one of the biggest takeaway is always to understand what your live streaming campaign is about and what you're trying to deliver, and you know, never ignore the importance of interactions. You know, never ignore your live streaming users. So just a few points to really conclude the case studies. So, you know, some of the key takeaways, you know, for number one, you know, understand what your customers' demands are or pain points and deliver relevant content in interesting and engaging ways. And number two is like I said, do not ignore the importance of interactions during live streaming. You know, interactive videos typically perform much better and can win over user supports much easier. Number three, this is just like common sense, right? Especially when you do sensitive topics or sensitive keywords, you know, just be careful with it. You know, don't do it at all, in my opinion, so you don't risk, you know, having your content or account blocked. And number four, this one's also, you know, fairly straightforward. I guess what we're trying to say here is, you know, always be prepared. Know what your live streaming is supposed to do. Know your customers well, and you will be off to a good start. Yes.
Yeah, I think that, guys, you today have learned quite a lot from my colleagues about what we need to do, what we shouldn't do. And basically, I'm sure that most of you have the most important questions as marketers. What should we do for Double 11? So what's happening for Double 11? Because obviously this year will be quite an interesting year in lots of aspects. And I just want to mention that here you can see the result of Double 11 last year through the across the platforms, what were sales results, sales basically volumes. And if you want to basically know about Double 11 and how you can be prepared for this festival this year, so please join our next webinar, because our next webinar will be fully about Double 11. And then also my colleagues will walk you through how to get the most from live streaming for 11/11. And now we are basically opening the floor for the questions. We have a questions for basically Stella. So from Debbie, what can brands do to basically entice viewers to tune in and stay for the entire duration of the live stream? So what brands can do to basically keep the attention of the viewers?
So, and as for these questions, I want to divide it into two parts. Firstly, how to achieve the viewers to watch the live streaming. So maybe you could do their warm-up activities on some social platforms like the Weibo's. And in these kinds of social platforms, and you tell them the details about the live streaming, for example, the times and the themes and the live streamers and what the products you will sell in this live streaming. Tell these kinds of information, and then you could also tell them if you want to watch our live streaming, you could get some coupons. And I think this is really attractive to the viewers to watch the live streaming. And then you could also cooperate with the celebrities and KOLs to drive the traffic to your live streaming. And during the periods of the live streamings, how to make your viewers to stay in the live stream. So I think the content is very important. Firstly, if you want to just purpose of selling the product, you could, as I mentioned before, discounts is very attractive to the viewer. So you could have some tips like the urgent buying. It means that you should buy their products in 5 minutes.
Just increase the demand.
At the lowest prices. So it will push your viewers to buy the products. And then I think the previews in the live streaming is also important. It means that, for example, you could tell your viewer that in the 10 minutes later, and I would give the red emperors to you. So I think this kind of tips is very useful to keep their live streamers stayed in their live stream.
That's quite interesting. So it's mainly about the offer and basically the content, and also live streamers. So we also have basically a questions, because now I see that like many of you texting us about like the foreign companies and how it's actually going to do in Europe. And basically I'm sure that many of you also have a question about the strategies for overseas companies. So can you please share with us a few insights how to basically overseas companies can start doing live streaming? Okay. If just I'm a foreign company, I want to do live streaming in China, what should I do? Where should I go?
Okay, so if you are a foreign brands, and we could see that whether you have entered the China market. If you have entered the China markets, maybe you could cooperate with the KOLs to do the live streaming, and they would introduce your products with the professional knowledge to recommend your products. But if you don't have their selling e-commerce platforms in China, you had better because if you want to sell the products, you should work with the distributors in order to make sure your products could be sent to your Chinese consumers. So it's very important, and I think it's the priority if you want to sell their products in China markets. And there you should also learn about the regulations of the platforms, how you could open the shops on Taobao and JD, and there is a lot of regulation for you. But if you think it's a little complicated, maybe you could like to cooperate with the professional agencies, and these kinds of stuff would help you to solve these problems.
Yeah, so basically, as you can see, that it's not live streaming in China is not only about live streaming, it's actually about the whole industry which is behind, the digital economy industry which is behind, because you basically also like, it's not a problem to organize live streaming, but it's might be a problem for foreign companies to basically do the supply, to logistics, to make sure that the customers, then they just like you increase the urge to have this product, but then how this product will be delivered, what's actually happening with the customer experience after the sales. So this is what I think is very important and quite insightful. I also see here the questions from Yelena. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing any names incorrectly. So how Chinese e-commerce companies are planning to expand live streaming to foreign markets such as Russia and Europe. And we also have the questions from Felicia, how live streaming be used in Western markets. I think that Beverly can tell us a little bit more how basically live streaming can go for the Western market.
I think obviously, China is a very different ecosystem, it's a very different landscape, different users, different market. But I think one thing that we can agree is that, obviously, as the topics that we've covered just now, a lot of them are just like general best practices. So, I mean, it doesn't matter what kind of platforms you're using. It doesn't matter what kind of audience you're kind of like, communicating to. You want to have a very clear message. You want to have a very clear marketing message. You want to deliver useful and valuable content. You want to be interactive with your viewers. So I think this is something that that can be easily transferable to Western markets. So it doesn't really matter what kind of platforms you're using or the kind of people that you're communicating to.
Yeah, I think that we also have a kind of similar question from Carol, who is asking, do you think if live streaming also will be successful in Europe? We hope so, because now we actually receiving quite lots of questions from basically companies which are located in Europe, in USA, in Australia. So with the companies who want to learn from China experience, how to basically organize live streaming and take this experience from China to the home and domestic markets, because basically everything is here. So the consumer interest is here. So the technology is actually allowing to do it. But what's actually the key and in basically the success of the live streaming, because live streaming is actually like linking together different parts of the economies. And then I also see the question here from Attila about do we mean that it's impossible to send from Brazil to China? We must have a Chinese distributor. So we don't say that it's impossible. Because like it should be looked case by case, because what's most important, so live streaming can be organized, but how the product will be delivered to consumer once consumer basically purchase it through the live streaming. And in this case, you need to have the clear, like the strategy and model in mind. And here, like the distributors can really, if you're partnering with them, can help you to deliver this product and have like a stock already in China, because Chinese consumers, they already got used that basically upon the purchasing, they receive the product maximum within like 7 days. So it's like a longest, but if you just like want to ship the product from Brazil to China the moment after the live streaming, so it can take a lot of time. So that's why we also encourage you to think about basically this model.
And also, can I just quickly add to the question where, you know, from people who does not have live streaming in their countries yet, I think, I mean, China is not the first, or I mean, it's not the only ones doing live streaming, but in terms of the scope, in terms of the extent, you know, it's definitely one of the very early country to use live streaming in such extent. So I think it's now a very good time to see the future, like the new future. So, you know, right now you may not have live streaming in your regions and your countries, but it's a good idea to familiarize yourself with all these like strategies, with all these cases. So, you know, when this technology becomes readily available at your region, you know, you're prepared for it. You can just get going.
Yeah, guys, unfortunately, we are already running out of the time, and thank you for staying with us like longer for 5 minutes. No worries. We also see all your questions about basically the payment model, like live streamer get a percentage of sales. Yes. So if you want to get more basically information about how it works, how much you need to pay to the platforms, how much you need to pay to live streamer, please contact us. We will help you with like any of your questions. And just quickly summarize what we talked today about. So we talk about live streaming, which is used for sales. They talk about live streaming, which is used for marketing. We also talk live streaming for basically used for entertainment. And what's actually important here, so you need to understand that for China, live streaming is not anymore an option, it's a must, because the brand competitiveness is so high and everyone is doing live streaming, so that you really need to educate your sales team about how to do live streaming. You need to educate your marketing team what's actually how to implement live streaming in the marketing strategy to basically get people more information about the product, the company, the brand value, and all these things. And if you will have any questions, we are always here to help. So I will send all of you a follow-up basically message with all our materials, with the video recording, with the slides. And if you want to organize training for your team or consultation, please let us know. We will be happy to do so. And we also want to invite you for our November masterclass, which will be held on 24th November. So, and it will be about basically being prepared the marketing strategy for 2021. So if you're thinking how to basically succeed in China, please stay with us for our next webinars and join our masterclass, and we will share more information in the email. So thank you so much, everyone, and have a nice evening. Bye.